Welcome back to Havana Media. My name is Boniface Owino, and as usual, I'm going to be your host for today. Now, I'm very glad here to host Dan Lucorito. He said that this issue of being called honorable is somewhat challenging, so let me just call him Dan Lucorito, and we are here to do what is normally called breaking political barriers. And today we have got two things that I want us to discuss, especially what is happening in the country right now. A lot of people are talking about Raila'S Odinga losing the A.U.C, William Ruto trying to defend him, and also Raila'S Odinga trying to defend William Ruto, saying that nobody should blame William Ruto for his loss. Now, Honorable Dan, welcome first.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Bonnie. These are, like I said last time, these are interesting times. Today we have, before we mention the issue of Raila'S Odinga and William Ruto, today we have the biggest defender of the people called Rigathi Gachagua. I told you once we reach such a level, you realize this is the same person that just a few months ago when he was in power, he was one of the most, I'd say, toxic leaders in terms of tribalism and so on. Today he's coming. I think he got himself some good advisors, because slowly he's turning into a national leader. And that is good for him. But other than that, coming back to the issue of the AU, we saw this thing coming. Actually, I said it here many months before the election that happened in Ethiopia. And there are reasons as to why we saw it that way at that time. And we were vindicated, even those who were blinded and went ahead, and some people were even singing and dancing in the streets of Addis Ababa. Can you imagine our elected leaders? And they are transporting our bad manners to foreign capitals to go and sing and make noise in Addis Ababa in the name of supporting Baba. The common sense dictates that this leader should have known that they have no role at all to play in that election. This was purely a diplomatic kind of position, not a political position. And to make it worse, a party like ODM, almost all the national leaders of ODM, apart from the Secretary General,
apart from Sifuna,
the rest of the ODM brigade was there. You would think it is an ODM affair. And I think that is one of the things that contributed to Baba losing this position, of course. And there are several other reasons, including his chief campaigner, who is our own president. Ruto. Because what went out there is different from what he was trying to portray. Those of us who are in this country know what has been happening. And we felt he was trying to use the AU as a dumping ground for Baba, so that, when Baba is idle here in the country, everybody, almost every leader in power is in trouble. So I think as a way of keeping him away, so that he runs the government the way he wants to run, he thought it is maybe a wise idea to take him to AU, to keep him busy.
But Raila'S Odinga is saying that nobody should blame William Ruto for his loss.
That could be part of the agreement they made. They know each other. These are people who have been talking even the night before the election. They were together. Even going to the Mandela, whatever, where the election was being held, they went in the same vehicle. So these are people who have been talking, and they know whatever it is that they agreed. So Baba will not, of course, disclose what the finer details of what they have discussed, but of course he has to cover for his brother. Yes, and we are personally, I'm glad it happened this way, so that these leaders also learn to listen. Sometimes we say things here and people take them lightly, and sometimes God shows God can show somebody that you don't even somebody that you can ignore. Look at the candidate who defeated Baba. Had you ever heard of him?
You can't even imagine.
And the way he even arrived for that function, he came with, I think there was a lady and two other gentlemen. Either the PA or the spouse, I'm not sure who it was. Plus two other men.
Only.
That is a team of 4 people. Fighting against the so-called African lion. Who had gone to Addis with
over 200
with over 200 supporters who are not just ordinary people, majority of whom are elected leaders here in Kenya. Who had the backing of did you hear the president of Madagascar? Where is this guy from again? I keep confusing.
Madagascar.
Is it Madagascar?
Yeah.
Did you hear the president campaigning for him?
No.
Because these are people who understand diplomacy. You know, when you are running for a diplomatic position like that, there are things you would want to avoid. One, you don't meet other leaders publicly. Because one, you don't know the relationship between country A and country B. You come silently, talk to me, away from the media and go. I think this is what the guy from Djibouti, Djibouti. He was very good at doing things behind the scenes. So he was underrated. Baba was so loud in every capital, every president he visited. There were photos and there were stories coming out. And possibly even these presidents were wondering what makes Kenya or this candidate from Kenya so keen in winning this position, and why does he want to do it so loudly that everybody else gets concerned? The other factor that we cannot ignore is the Gen Z factor. Do you know, just a few days before the voting took place, I saw on Twitter, somebody shared the WhatsApp numbers of almost all the presidents in Africa. And I think they got some greetings from Kenya's young people. And that is why some of them changed their minds. Maybe that could be one of the reasons. But the biggest obstacle to Raila'S win has been our president himself, whether Raila agrees or not. And I'm going to give you maybe 2 or 3 reasons why I think so. One, when Ruto became president, it is like he was rubbishing every other African president that had, including those who have been there longer than him. He came and portrayed himself as the brightest man on earth.
Call him the prefect of Africa.
Yes, the prefect of Africa. And this didn't sit well with the rest of the leaders. So they were waiting for an opportune moment to punish him. Secondly, there is this DRC crisis. You know, sometimes you don't comment on some things, not because you don't know, but because you know the consequences. DRC has friends. Now, if I made a comment against DRC today, even their friends will start looking at me differently.
That's right.
The other blunder he made was to comment on the Israeli-Palestine conflict. Remember, even during the AU conference, I think they invited the leader of Palestine. He was there as one of the guests. Why was he invited? And and looking at the fact that even Ruto had said he supports the Israeli stand on the conflict. Initially, and as far as I can remember, Kenya's foreign policy has been that the Israelis have their country, the Palestinians also have their country. But then when Netanyahu started attacking, the other way, maybe the Palestinians started, but this has been a crisis for a long time. Now, with the coming of Trump, remember what Trump said? that he wants to take over the territory,
the territory, yeah.
and build it and maybe make it one of the states of the United States. I don't know. So the question is, where are the Palestinians going? Back to our long history about what we knew and our foreign policy on the two-state status, where the Israelis should have theirs and the Palestinians theirs. Ruto declared openly that he supports Israel. And what does Israel want? They don't want Palestine in that where it is at the moment. So I think whoever invited the leader of Palestine to the AU was indirectly hitting back at Ruto for doing that. So those blunders and many more might have contributed to Baba losing this position. Otherwise, he was a good candidate. Of course, we know of that little secret of between him and his father since 1992. And on that one, I don't want to comment much, but I just want to say that even biblically, it is very important when you are a father. Whatever words you say about your child are very critical, because they determine what some of them become. When we look at the story of, for example, there was this character who built the ark.
Noah.
It's called Noah.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So after the flood had gone and so on, the Bible says he planted a vineyard. And I think one day he got a lot of harvest. He got excited and drank. And he actually got drunk. And he was naked.
One of his sons saw his nakedness.
Yes, saw his nakedness and went and called his brothers to come and see. But the brothers were clever. They covered him. They turned face the other side and came and covered their father. So when he came to know about what the younger son had done, he didn't curse him. He cursed his son. That is the grandchild.
The grandson, the grandchild.
And this curse was affected him and his generation. The generation became Canaan. And the Canaanites went through a lot of suffering for a very long time. And I'm also told he was black. I don't know how. So some people have been trying to distort and say, oh, that is why the black people are not cursed, by the way. That is some imagination of some...
biblical imagination.
Yes.
Not even biblical, because it's not in the Bible. I think theoretical.
Yes, theoretical. But also speaking about blessings and curses again, there is a recorded story of, I think it is Jacob and Esau, who are brothers. One of them was blessed, of course, but it's through trickery with his mother. That is Jacob. But whatever the father pronounced about his life is what came to be. So some of these things are a bit sensitive to discuss, but it is very important that parents, especially fathers, I don't have a history. I've not seen in history a mother who blessed a child.
Blessings come
from the father.
But why is it, if blessings, let us just talk about that a little bit before we come back. Why is it that the blessings comes from the father? And then you find that some of the children, they love their mothers more than the father. Like, let's say, for instance, just talking about what you've said concerning the issue of Jacob and his mother. How comes that Jacob was loved by the mother? We know that Jacob was cooking, was a stew maker.
Naturally, a mother would love all her children, but especially the one she considers a bit disadvantaged in some way. When a mother realizes that I have two kids and the father loves this one more, she becomes protective of the other one. Yes, because, and I think that is a normal motherly instinct. So it is not a matter of children. That there is a bond. There is a bond that grows. And I've also observed boys and girls behave differently and have different attachments towards their parents. Girls tend to love their fathers more. and boys tend to love their mothers more.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is the issue of the negative and positive
perhaps maybe it might
attracting
be.
in physics or something like that.
The rebellion and the attracting, yeah.
But the fact is, I think traditionally in the tradition or religion of that particular Middle East those days, it is the father who carried the blessing of a child.
Up to date?
Up to date, yes. And the father, it was paramount that the father pronounces a blessing upon the firstborn. Because where there is where the father maybe dies, it is normally the firstborn who takes over that role of guiding that family. So in that sense, I'd looking at the two boys, Esau and Jacob. Esau was the elder, so he deserved the blessing of the firstborn. But then the mother liked the small one, that is Jacob, more. Maybe because of that attachment I've talked about, or because of the things he used to do for her, I don't know. And therefore she preferred that the younger one gets blessed in place of the elder one. Remember, the father was blind at this time. So the only sense he had was of touch. And he knew Esau is hairy. So the mother came up with a very clever plot and took a piece of skin and put on the hands of this smaller boy. And when he went there before the father touched and thought it is the elder son. So that is how he stole the blessing of the elder son. And if you read through the story, you realize how he suffered, so on and so forth. And that is why I insist in this particular case, if whatever happened in 1992 is anything to go by, maybe for those who will be watching this for the first time and they don't know the history, when Ford was founded, the original Ford had, I think, about 3 or 4 prominent leaders. There was Jaramogi Odinga, who is Raila'S father. There was Masinde Muliro. There was, I think, there was somebody from Coast called Bamaris, something like that, and other leaders. These other ones, Kina Matiba and so on, came to join later.
After it had been formed?
Yes. Kina Shikuku, I think Kina Shikuku were there, the young Turks of those days, Kina Mohisa Kitui, and so on. Now, at some point, Raila challenged his father for the position of leadership in that party. And the father was not happy. Remember, if you check around the social media, you'll come across the videos of a meeting that took place after Raila's father had passed on in 1994. And these people were fighting over leadership. Remember, Raila's father had initially preferred Michael Wamalwa Kijana to take over the party in case he's not there. And that is why he had made him the first vice chairman. This is a position that Raila didn't want. And he seemed to fight for it when his father was still alive. And the father told him, because you are fighting me, you are going to fight for these things, this leadership. He told him, remember, I fought against Kenyatta, I fought against Moi, and I'm still fighting, and I've never gotten this thing. If you, my own son, wants to bring me down, I want to tell you, you'll also fight for these things until your sunset years, and you'll never get it. Those are the words that apparently the father told him. Now, many people have seen even people discussing on social media and saying, oh, there was no curse and so on. But when a parent says such words, and in that state when he's, when you are angry, it is the spirit in you that is speaking. Sometimes you might not even know what you are saying. Maybe the father spoke and forgot about it. But the son never made a step of
going back to ask
to ask for forgiveness.
Maybe at some point he didn't even take it also serious like
he didn't. Possibly he didn't take it seriously.
And maybe he didn't know that it would affect him.
But when you look at the trend and the history since then, Raila has been getting very close to winning, and he loses at the last minute, including in the just concluded EU elections. Remember, he led the first 2 rounds.
Normally takes the lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's led the first 2 rounds. Then eventually he lost. How can you explain that?
And it is not only in AU. Every time Raila normally takes the lead. Like Raila is taking the lead. And everybody is normally very happy that now Raila is on top. Raila is taking it. And then again, eventually things turn upside down. And again,
Raila has this habit of organizing to celebrate very early. You see, even in Addis Ababa, they had set aside a hotel and they invited guests where they were going to celebrate Raila's win. And that is, I think, where the president was saying, if I told you I'm not disappointed, I'd be lying. So in my own view, there is this cloud that has been surrounding Baba for a very long time. And again, the Bible says, such curses go up to the 4th generation. So there are chances that if nothing is done about it again, Raila has children, he has grandchildren, and those who will come after them, that is the 4th generation. This thing might affect all of them up to that time. But all is not lost. They can still do something about it.
Anyway, they'll just do something about it if they know.
And I hope they get to know.
Because if you look at that family, if you look at the family, it is only Raila who is being affected. Like, look at the sister. Sister is a senator. Look at the brother.
It's okay. It's okay. So is there any other person who has tried to be president of either Kenya or Africa?
It's only Raila.
Only Raila. Yeah. And the father was specific.
Raila.
You will also look for this position I'm looking for until your sunset, yes, and you'll never get it.
Okay, now, Dan, let us now talk about, of course, Raila have lost. People have been talking about it, and of course, we know that. Now, what's next for Raila? Because we know very well that an idle Raila is very dangerous.
What is next for? I'd rather talk of what is next for Ruto. Because Raila, we know obviously, and like you are saying, an idol Raila is trouble. Now, there are those who are saying they need to go back to the NADCO report. The NADCO report had proposed creation of a position of prime minister where power is supposed to be shared. But I don't think that would be a solution. The solution is we go back to June last year, June 2024, when the young people of this country invaded parliament. They had reasons as to why they did that. The problem is our leaders misread what they were communicating and thought by giving Raila or his allies positions in government, they'd have solved the problems. Look at the young man who was assumed to be the leader of the Gen Zs. He's called Makore or something.
Makore, yeah.
Yes. This guy is now, he was also in Addis Ababa. I saw him shaking hands with Ruto. This was considered as one of the leaders. The others, like Namasi Tarus, I don't know where she disappeared
Namasi Tarus,
there is like the Morara, this Morara Kebaso. He now looks confused.
He doesn't know what he wants.
Going on, what he wants. But if those young people stuck together, do you know, the government would be maybe better today. Remember, we've also lost a lot of people. There were a lot of abductions that happened within. And that reminds me again, even we had foreigners abducted here in Nairobi. Besije, I'm told he was taken to hospital this morning. We wish him quick recovery. There was this lady from Tanzania who was abducted. And because Raila was running for AU, he didn't make a comment at all on that. But again, when he was in trouble here in Kenya, it is the likes of Besigye who are defending him from out there in their own country. So again, it paints a picture of a Raila who is self-centered. As long as he's going to benefit, he's willing to look the other way, even if there are evils being committed against the people, so that he gets whatever he wants. Raila was focused on getting the AU chairmanship, that he let the young people be abducted and disappeared, and he didn't say anything. He let Besigye to be abducted here in Nairobi, and he didn't say anything. He also allowed, by saying allowed, I mean he didn't say anything. Not that he had the ability to do anything, but his voice is trusted by many people.
Now, talking about the issue of June 25th, there is a message here that the Gen Zs gave out Raila yesterday. They wrote this, that Dear Raila Odinga, forgive us for celebrating your loss at the A.U.C election. Baba, forgive us. Forgive us for celebrating your defeat in African Union Commission election. It is not that we hate you. In fact, we still call you Baba. But the truth is, when you ran for A.U.C chairmanship, you didn't act like our father. And that is why we had to let you go. On June 25th, 2024, we, your sons and daughters, flooded the streets of Kenya. We didn't come to demand power. We didn't come to serve political interest. We came for something bigger: justice, good governance, and an end to impunity. We were leaderless but focused, united by one goal: to reclaim our country from the hands of a corrupt and oppressive regime. And Baba, our voices were so loud that they shook the very foundation of this government. The finance bill was dropped and an entire cabinet dissolved.
That was the message then.
Yeah, these were a message that they gave yesterday. The Gen Zs gave it yesterday. And they continue by saying that you saw us, Baba, you congratulated us, you knew we were not fighting for positions, but for our future. You knew we were not tribal or partisan. We were Kenyans, tribal-less, fearless, determined. But what did we get in return? Hundreds of us were killed. The bullets rained on our young bodies like we were criminals. Abductions followed. Some of our comrades are still missing. Families are still mourning. Parents are still searching. And at the moment when we needed you the most, when we expected you to stand with us, when we thought you, Baba, would demand justice for us, you betrayed us. Instead of standing with the blood of your children, you chose to sit at the table of power. You abandoned us and shook hands with Ruto, the very man responsible for the deaths of innocent Kenyans. You called it a broad-based government, but we saw it for what it was: a selfish deal to bring ODM politicians into government and secure Ruto's support for A.U.C bid. Was it worth it, Baba? Did you have to sell our blood for a position in Addis Ababa? Did you have to pretend to see the pain of grievance mothers just so you could get a seat at the continental table? Did you think we will forget? Very painful message.
That is the point, and that is why I referred to June last year. The point was not about getting positions in government or in power. Remember, I'm one of the people who really campaigned for this government. I was their national organizing secretary, and we did it without pay for over 2 years. The reason we did that is because we believed we are going to have a different kind of government that would consider the people's needs first. But as soon as Ruto was sworn in, he became somebody else that we don't even know up to now. So these young people had a point. It is not like Baba was or is a bad man, but he made a wrong decision. And many people told him, advised him against it, but he was so adamant because he saw it is an opportunity for him maybe to make a bit more money or climb the ladder and become the president of Africa, something like that. That is why I said I support the young people when they say they actually celebrated his losing that, because in my view, Ruto didn't genuinely want Baba to go because he's a better leader. Ruto wanted to get Baba out of the way so that he sails through easily in 2027. Fortunately, God has remembered us. And let me tell you about the dream I had. So before I forget. Last time I told you about the dream I had about the snake and Rigathi, and it came to pass after 2 years. This particular one last weekend, after that vote in Addis Ababa, when I went to sleep towards morning of Sunday, I had a dream, and we were somewhere in some village somewhere with Ruto and a group of people that I don't know. And these people looked like the common wananchi, the common farmers, the common workers, and so on. And some were armed with jembes, others rungus, and so on. And all of them were aiming at Ruto's head, wanted to hit him. And I remember I was trying to tell them and blocking them with my hands. And at some point, a very large crowd was coming towards us. Then I found myself awake. It is obvious, of course, I cannot interpret my own dream, but it tells you something in the spirit. It is true, the people on the ground are not happy with this administration, Ruto's leadership. And it is 2 years to the next election. What is likely to happen? Can Ruto tell us that he can confidently go today to the places where he used to campaign and mix with people freely the way he used to do? The fact is he cannot.
Even the Kondele people, just immediately after Raila'S had lost, they started singing Ruto must go.
Yes, I saw they were singing Ruto must go. And he better prepare. Because what is going to come next? Raila is going to demand for more positions in government. And possibly
including the speaker.
The first casualty of this is, unfortunately, like we said, going to be the Speaker of the National Assembly, followed by most likely the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Then who knows, maybe the next one to be impeached is Ruto, and it will be for the same reasons that Rigathi was impeached. Because Ruto is just the opposite side of the coin of Rigathi. So if somebody came up with an impeachment motion against him today,
then I think a lot of people support.
When Baba already now controls parliament, then there is trouble.
Even the street people will not even looking for signatures to impeach William.
That would be so easy.
Just within Nairobi, you already have the enough signatures.
Yeah, the fact is people are not happy, and it is not like Ruto didn't know. Ruto just decided he doesn't want to listen to anyone. In fact, recently he said, and I saw the senator of this senator John Methu is for which county?
Methu is from
this young man.
I think one.
Yes, he was saying something that I found interesting, and it is going to be used during. I think it can make a good slogan. That the President Ruto now wants to only talk to people with PhDs. He just wants to be voted by people with PhD
holders.
So if you have anything below PhD, Ruto is not your candidate in the next election. I think it is interesting. This same Ruto that we were mingling with, the common people are mingling with, today he says we don't know anything because we don't have a PhD like him. Let's wait for him in the next election. We will show him that him and his PhD are useless. God has not taken away the skills we use to put him in power. We can still use the same to remove him.
Well, somehow interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But that is how politics is. If he wants the PhD guys to vote for him, I don't think we have more than 10,000
Not
of them.
even those PhD holders cannot vote for him, because let us just speak the truth. Most of the PhD holders lives in Kilimani, Runda.
Those are the people who don't vote.
And those are the people no, so truth is, okay.
The people who vote are the common people that I saw in my dream.
And us with the degrees outside there.
Yes, those people who are maybe hoping things will change for better. Those are the people who go to the ballot.
But look at the PhD
And
holders.
today, everybody is annoyed with this government.
Look at the PhD holders. They don't vote. They don't. In fact, they don't even. They don't even have that time. Right now, as people are struggling outside, they're just watching at their TV station, looking at
Exactly.
They are the CEOs of very big CEOs. They don't have that time. And now those are the people that maybe Ruto wants to associate with.
So we, as much as we wish him well, he's our president at the moment. But if you are to ask me, I don't see him getting a second term. The biggest mistake Ruto made, and I wish he could listen to advice, was to remove Gachagua from the position of deputy president. The second big mistake he made, that is a blunder, was to try to force Raila on A.U., which failed. So Gachagua is outside urinating inside. Raila will start urinating inside. Even
we don't know whether
inside,
he will be inside urinating inside.
Raila will get what he wants, or it will be so bad we might not even have a peaceful, a conducive environment for the government to run its projects from as early as this week.
Now, let me as we finish, there is something that I've noticed. A lot of people, mostly business people, and I saw this happening in Nyeri, those as Nyeri, Meru. A lot of people were celebrating when Raila lost. And their big reason of celebrating was not because they didn't want Raila to win. Or maybe they are against Raila. These people are saying that they were celebrating. In fact, I was having an interaction yesterday with someone. And this person was telling me that we people were celebrating, not because we hate Raila, but we were celebrating after Raila'S loss in A.U. because we knew very well that if Raila makes it to A.U., then we'll be dead.
There'll be no one to defend
the people here. So at some point, people are seeing that's why I think Raila yesterday mentioned something that we've not lost. We've just lost the A.U., but we've not lost. So I really don't know. And then regarding Gachagua also said something that Africa loved you. Let me just quote it. If I can't remember exact words, but this is what he said. That Africa loved you, but God himself realized that you have unfinished business with Kenya.
Yeah, with Kenyans. Now, let me tell you. You see what becomes even more interesting. Before the 2022 election, everybody was saying how bad Raila is.
Yeah.
Today, actually yesterday, the day before yesterday, Ruto himself said Raila is the best candidate for Africa.
In fact, he said that Raila lost because he's the best candidate. And this president fears to be, I don't know, they say that this president fears accountability.
So let me ask you, what is Ruto coming to tell people about Raila in 2027?
I don't know.
If Raila decides to run,
I don't know.
It is the same Ruto who has said Raila is the best.
The best.
And people have listened and heard. The same happened during Uhuru time. After saying all bad things about Raila, Uhuru later came and said, no, Raila is a good man. Ask yourself that question. And I want to encourage Baba. I know he'll be 82 in 2027. We know of presidents who have been in power beyond 85.
Nelson Mandela became president after
he was 74. And he was there for one term. He left after the first time. He was 78. But after the energy Raila has shown during this AU election, nothing stops him from vying for the presidency alone. The only thing I'd comment, I'm not qualified to advise ODM or Raila himself, but I want to agree with one of the leaders I listened to earlier in the morning. Maybe Raila needs to change the advisors, the people who are surrounding him. Mama Ida, with all due respect, should remain Baba's wife at home and stop interfering in the politics. The people like kina Junet Mohammed, kina Hawa, kina John Mbadi, kina Nani, kina
Kaluma.
Yes, especially Kaluma. Kaluma posted a very stupid comment on social media the other day. I was even shocked.
He's
typing as if like somebody who has never gone to school. Those are not the kind of people you let advise you. It is just like Ruto and his advisors.
Ruto and Farouk. And Kaluma is an MP.
Yes, he's an MP. And you see, if you have such people, just because they are related to you, they make you block your ears from listening to good advice. It then becomes a problem. So the like I said, Raila stands a very good chance in 2027. But one, he has to again regain the trust of the young people. You know, they feel like he sold them out. The comrades were killed, some were abducted. He never said anything up to now. So it would be important that he starts engaging young people as soon as now. Secondly, if Baba wants to be taken seriously, he has to get rid of some of his very close political advisors, including his own wife. Mama Ida, with all due respect, should remain the wife. And avoid get interfering. You know, there are leaders who have spoken and said that every time we make an agreement with Baba, he goes and sleeps over it, and tomorrow he comes, he has changed his mind. Who talks to him at night?
If not the wife.
It must be the wife.
No, because the spirit does not talk to him.
Maybe there are spirits also. But many people seem to have been blaming the wife even in the running of ODM and so on and so forth. So maybe he might want to listen to the people more than to the likes of his wife. Of course, even Trump said he listened to his wife. So I don't know how he'll balance that one. But it is very important. People like Peter Kaluma, how do you listen to that one? How do you listen to Junet Mohammed, who made you lose an election even in the past? So those are the three areas that Baba needs to work on. One,
Peter Kaluma is very tribalist.
Yes, regain the trust of the young people.
And how is he going to do that? Gaining the trust of the young people? Unless maybe he comes back and now decides to fight William Ruto openly.
That is one of the options he has. That is the only chance he has of regaining the trust of the young people.
But can he do it?
Maybe he'll say he's too old, but let's wait and see.
He confirmed yesterday during his speech that he's not as old as people say. That when he was claiming that he was thinking that.
But the fact is Raila is 80, and 80. We know at 80 there are a few things that he might not be able to do as actively as he used to do.
As a young Raila.
So, some of the people he joined politics with have retired. They have gone home. A few are still serving, but they say they are retiring after this particular term.
How old is Museveni?
Museveni is ahead of Raila by a few years, I think.
But it doesn't seem to leave power very soon.
You know, the way Museveni came to power is different from how we do ours here. Museveni got to power via the gun, just like Kagame in Rwanda. Removing such leaders is not easy. But here we have been putting people in power via the ballot. And I think we should thank God because we've never had a situation where a leader came to power via violence. There was a bit of violence in 2007, but then at the end of his term, Kibaki respected the constitution and retired. We elected Uhuru, who did his 10 years and went home. This time we are saying Ruto is serving for one term, and we are looking forward to him respecting the decision of the people and the constitution and go home. He can go and learn a bit more. Maybe we will give him a second term after maybe in 2032.
Like Trump.
If he improves. Yes, Trump went and rested and learned a bit. We cannot say he's doing better because he's now trying to reintroduce colonialism, which I don't think will work. But Baba has a lot of work to do. I don't know how he'll convince the young people to trust him again. Personally, I don't trust him. And a lot of other young people don't trust him. I don't trust Ruto either. So we are looking at another alternative. Is this Maraga Omtata ticket viable? I don't know.
Omtata, we have Maraga Omtata, we have Ugola, and I don't know who. We have a lot of them.
Yeah, let them come out. We will see.
We don't know the Gachagua will come with who.
Gachagua will play the role of a kingmaker, especially in mobilizing Central.
Yeah, like Kalonzo is also there.
Yes, Kalonzo is beyond repair. Kalonzo has been around for long. If he wanted to be president, he would have become one long ago.
But now they say,
the challenge is Kalonzo has simply been unable to convince even his own people to back him 100%. If the people backed him 100%, Kalonzo would have been president already. So we expect that he'll also retire with his age mates. We are looking forward to seeing people like Kena Mutula Kilonzo coming up in Ukambani and others who might still be silent today. In Western, we are looking at people like George Natembea.
Peter Salasia.
Salasia doesn't, he needs a bit of, it is called panel beating
and
re-engineering.
But he's a good man.
And he also seems to have, you know where he comes from? Near there, kuna mahali kunaitwa Luanda. I'm told there is a lot of bangi there. I suspect he could be using a part of it.
Or he was using
those days, and it is still yet to clear from his mind. But he can be a good leader in future. Right now, he falls under the category of hecklers. And hecklers are also good because they give us it is called humor in politics. People need humor sometimes with such people. But in Western, I can see Natembea at the moment. Maybe Eugene comes at a distance.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes,
just
around
maybe.
There. But the person who is actually speaking the language that the people want to hear is Natembea.
In Nyanza?
In Nyanza, whether people in Nyanza like it or not, Babu Owino is coming up.
We are forgetting with Sifuna.
Sifuna is part of that, the young tax now.
Tax, yeah.
Then Babu Owino in Nyanza. We go to Central, we have this island. He went silent. Ndindi Nyoro is there.
Yeah, Ndindi Nyoro.
And maybe others will come up. Of course, Rigathi will be their advisor as the kingmaker, and he cannot be ignored.
Kisii, when you go to Kisii, we have what?
In Kisii, it is not yet very clear, but Onyonka is there. Onyonka is speaking what people want to hear. Maybe he'll be considered.
In Rift Valley?
Rift Valley, there was this Keter.
Yeah, Keter, yeah.
Yes, Keter is there. If he gets a bit of support,
he'll do something.
Of course, Nani also went silent. The other Ruto, the former governor.
Yeah, the former governor.
I think he was given a job. Alikuwa anapiga kelele juu alikuwa na njaa.
And then when we go to Ukambani, we have got this senator. What is his name?
In Ukambani, I mentioned Mutula Kilonzo Jr. I can't see clearly any other person who is coming up in that region. Maybe in Coast, do we have anybody in Coast?
Coast, I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, coast bado wanalala.
Yeah.
They'll wake up and find the country has moved on. But the what I like about the coast people is they are always slow. Even when you go there and you are in a hurry, wanakuambia ungekuja
jana. Anyway, as we wind up, your last statement maybe?
My last statement. Pole sana baba for the loss. Of course, some of us expected it to happen. You simply refuse to listen to people who are telling you the truth. Just like Ruto refused to listen to those who tell him the truth and decided to listen to brokers, which is okay. We are waiting for the final word in 2027 or before. Thank you.
After all, guys, that is all we have for today. Let me also know what you think at the comment section. But just a reminder, if you are meeting for the first time, don't forget, take a minute, click the subscribe button. You can also like, share, drop your comment at the comment section. Tell me what you think and where you're watching this video from. Until we meet again in the next video, if it is possible, I've been your host, Boniface Owino. Bye-bye.